Good day, everyone. Welcome. Merry meet. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today. I have a subscriber. This is one of those videos that someone has asked me about. And I have a subscriber who's asked me about my path. And, you know, I'm going to try to move through this as kindly and gently as I can. My path, actually, now that I'm this old, I can sit back, and that's, you know, I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I can sit back and look at it and see how this happened and how this transpired and moved into this and moved into this. And it's been really interesting. And it's been so much fun. But my path actually came to me. And it came to me in my first experience. I guess you would say, I don't know if it would be labeled, because, you know, y'all are going to have to drop me a comment below and let me know, oh, that's being a psychic medium. I don't know if I was being clairvoyant or being a psychic medium or what the right terminology is, but at the tender age of, I think, about 4 or 5, I can look back at my great grandfather's death certificate and kind of go, okay, well, I was just turning 5 when he passed away. And that was my first experience. That was the first experience that unfolded in front of my mother. I don't know where my dad was, you know, at the moment. I mean, I was 5, you know, but I remember just like this was yesterday. And I remember sitting on my bed. Now, why? But as a 5-year-old, I was sitting on my bed. And I don't know where my sister was. My brother was somewhere being a pest, probably. And I remember hearing the phone ring. And immediately in my brain, I knew exactly what had happened, who had just died, or just like, you know, picking up those vibes from just 2 rings of the phone. And I was, you know, I knew my great-grandparents very well. And I was sitting on the bed and I just started to cry. I mean, like a 5-year-old would cry, you know. Oh my God, he's gone, he's gone, he's gone. And I knew, you know, he was no longer with us. And I remember my mom setting the phone down. And she walked into the hallway, into my room. And she could hear what I was saying, you know, his name, my great-grandpa is dead, you know, like only probably a 5-year-old who had never been exposed to like a death in the family before, you know. And my mom just stood there. She wasn't a very affectionate person, but she just stood there and just gave me this look, you know, like, you know. And from then on, Mother didn't bother me anymore. Isn't that horrible to say? But no, she didn't say a word to, I don't think, not that I'm aware of anyway, she didn't say a word to Dad. I don't know whether she was actually believing what she was hearing or not. But, you know, we all got through my great-grandfather passing away. And, you know, I started from that point on, and I continued on to have experiences, you know, seeing things that maybe that they never saw. And of course, my mom, now you have to bear in mind, this was many, many years ago. I mean, many years ago. And my mom thought it was a great idea. My sister, she was having a sleepover, right? And my mom thought it was a great idea to buy a board game for all the little girls to play. And my mom just happened to decide to, let's buy a Ouija board. So probably the girls that were there were probably maybe 12, 13 years old, something like that. I remember there was a lot of scared little girls. Of course, I was many years younger, but you know, they just, and I still have that spirit board to this day and use that spirit board to this day. My parents kept it all those years, and finally I got to the point where I'm settled. I'm settled, and it's here, and so I use it all the time. But it, you know, the relationship that I had with my mother, or the lack thereof, in a way, you know, like I said, I can sit back and look at it. I think pushed me in a direction that not a lot of young 11-year-old girls go. And I asked my mother to buy a satanic Bible for myself. And she did. And, you know, so I'm being very dumb, not knowing what I'm doing, and, you know, doing all kind of like things, asking for a lot of things. Well, and that's why I'm telling everybody here to be very, very careful. I know I've received a question in my giveaway that, you know, discuss your relationship with a Goetia. And I absolutely will in a separate video, and I might, you know, just kind of link them together. But I can tell you, for someone so young to get into that kind of spirit work and not realizing the consequences of what you were asking, not realizing the ramifications of every single word, you have to be so careful with. Well, I got what I asked for, but I can tell you, I pay to this day for it. But I'm much more careful now than an 11-year-old. But you know, from 11 years on, I always dabbled. I've always done it. I slowed down quite a bit when I was expecting my son and when my son was very, very young. But after, I guess probably after he was about 3 or 4 years old, I never did anything in front of him, anything like that. But he always knew that mom was different. And I think he's gifted himself. And there's been several instances where, you know, as a mother, I've always sat back and let him forge ahead. There's only been a few times that I've maybe interfered once or twice. But yeah, that's been my path, is starting out with demons, working, and, you know, demons aren't as bad as what everyone is kind of making them out to be. I don't think of them as demons, but you can say, okay, they're technically daemons, and things like that. But I still work with them, but I'm very, very, very careful. And in essence, what you can say in essence is the spirit work that I do, and not all of them are demons, most of them are, but they are the ones that I call into my circle that aid and assist me in my craft. You just have to be very careful which ones that you invite in. And but you know, they're just so more than willing to help. But the key to successfully working with any Goetia in whatever form that you are looking at or whatever form I'm looking at, they each have their own little virtues, I should say. And it's building a relationship, conversing and finding out what their virtues are, because there's a lot to learn. And that way, when you do have a need, then they know you, they're very familiar with you, and they're happy to work with you or with me. I don't, really give them like offerings when spells and things come to fruition, and they always do. I might a time or two, if I hear them, saying, well, I would like a, whiskey or Irish coffee or, something like that. But I like to think that the way that I'm living my life and have lived my life, that they see it as someone who is very, very sincere, and someone that is not going to come into the relationship and ask for something that is not deserving. I don't know if any of y'all had listened to, prior spell work on the channel, but very often I will use the phrase, I am right and just in my ask, or we are, or, whomever. And that, I think, helps quite a bit. And the daemons are, sitting back and looking, and they're going to see, because they're not going to pull the whole weight of everything, but they see, the hard work that I've put in and continue to put in, and they've been nothing but good for and to me. But yeah, that's been my path, is I just dove right in. Of course, now where I'm living now, I've integrated Appalachian magic into some of the things that I'm doing here, and some of the traditions here, and just being out on the land, and you do this, do that. Oh, I'm finding a button. Oh, I'm finding another button. And there's traditions in the backwoods that I'm just absolutely embracing. All the foraging that I'm able to do here is incredible. So I'm introducing more than working with demons, and then working with voodoo and hoodoo, which is, really kind of where my roots are, and what I grew up as I was, 14, 15, 16, and on. It was hoodoo and voodoo, and that's because there was a strong community there that welcomed me, and they taught me an incredible amount. And so I have a blend of working with demons, hoodoo and voodoo, and everything else in between, and now this. And I'm now finally, where I'm settled, I'm incorporating more home and house magic. But my reality is that no matter where I am, what I'm doing, spirit is going to come to me. Sometimes I know who they are, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes they're friends, dads that had passed on, and I will pass on messages. And I've done a lot of readings for people because I have a good relationship with a daemon. And, for me, this particular daemon, goes back and forth very, very well. I just feel so fortunate that my spirit guide is always with me. And I've learned the hard way not to ignore maybe what my spirit guide is kind of guiding me to, or my intuition. But I can tell you that's my one big thing is, you know, I tell everyone, don't ignore your gut, your intuition, because if you're in a situation, whether it be work or, you know, wherever, and, you know, you might call it your spidey sense, but, you know, something just comes and goes, red flag, red, you know, no, 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 no. I've ignored it like twice in my lifetime, and both times I was very sorry. So anymore, if I get a red flag, you know, and, you know, that's kind of where my family didn't understand some of my decisions because, like, you know, but I think that my family kind of learned pretty quickly to cut the reins loose and let this one go. Just let this one go, because my mom, she had my sister to deal with and my brother to deal with, and you know, if anybody asked her, well, what about her? Oh, she can take care of herself. And that's exactly what my mother would tell you. Yes, I definitely can. But, you know, I would not trade my path now that I'm at the age that I am, and, you know, look back on it and I can still see a path ahead. And oh my goodness, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be wonderful. I'm not saying I can see my future, but because I don't want to, because I have faith. And I've spoken about faith on my channel before. And I'm hoping that each and every one of you will get to that point where, you know, you trust 100% in your intuition and have faith that no matter what happens along your path in your life, it all has a direct, of course, result on yourself, but it's all going to be so good. It's all going to be so good. And, you know, I don't know what else I can say about my path. I've always, and, you know, growing up and growing into a path, you know, basically the path coming to me, thrown in, I've always tried to, no matter what I was doing in my path, I always tried to have a little bit of fun with it. And, you know, it kind of seemed to make life a little bit more bearable. But I'm having a wonderful time. Crone is absolutely glorious. It's glorious. And I hope each and every one of us get to that point, happy and healthy, as I will it. So mote it be. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. Merry part, and I hope to merry meet again. Goodbye, y'all.